There are heatwave warnings for Western Australia, South Australia, the Northern Territory and Tasmania today, and some flood watch advice for parts of New South Wales.
Meteorologist Angus Hines joins us now from the Weather Bureau. Morning, Angus. OK, tell us, how hot is it going to get?
Yeah, morning Mike, morning everyone. It is shaping up to be a pretty warm weekend once again. Now last weekend we had heat waves for many areas across the country. This weekend we will once more. Western parts of the country will be, well, actually quite close to average around Perth, but it's northern WA where we're really feeling the heat. We're into the 40s for some of those areas. Same thing through parts of South Australia and the Northern Territory, into the 40s there. Not for Adelaide, there'll be low 30s around the capital. Inland parts of Queensland could see 45 degrees and parts of Victoria up into the high 30s. Tasmania also in line for at least a warm day today. So the heat is extensive, but a lot of people will be relieved to hear perhaps not quite as hot as it was last weekend.
All right, the flood warnings, though, it's a very different story, isn't it, in New South Wales?
Yeah, very different story indeed across the east coast of the country. There's been widespread rain and thunderstorms yesterday, the last few days really, and that's set to continue today, tomorrow and even into next week. So what that means is large parts of eastern Australia have had a lot of rain. The ground is saturated now, so if they get further rainfall, particularly further heavy rain, which can come in with thunderstorms, they're going to see a very quick response, both for flash flooding, but also quick response in terms of those river levels rising up pretty quickly. So we are anticipating areas of flash flooding and flooded rivers over the next few days. There are a few flood watches in place, which are the rivers which we're particularly concerned with, depending on how the rain and storms evolves in the next 48 hours. One of those is the Hawkesbury-Nepean River inland from Sydney. We also have a lot of rivers through southern and southeastern Queensland, which could really rise pretty quickly if those storms continue to ramp up both Saturday and Sunday. So it's an area to watch across that east coast. It is going to be fairly wet for the next few days with a big risk of thunderstorms, a little bit cooler than the rest of the country.
Angus, early January, we know we live in a nation of droughts and flooding rains, but how unusual is this at this time of year?
Yeah, it's a good question. Now, we are in summer in Australia. We do see heat waves each and every year in summer in Australia. We get these spells of hot weather. Now, we've had quite a few of them already over the last 6 to 8 weeks. This is another one to add into the lot, and it's likely to shape out as a very warm summer when it's all said and done. That said, we're probably not setting any records for maximum temperatures this weekend, even though it is very hot. In terms of the rain on the east coast, well, it's a bit of a reminder of some of the wet summers we've had over the last 4 or 5 years. This doesn't look to match the intensity or the ferociousness of some of that rain from the past few summers, but it is going to be very wet, and it's likely we will see some impact from this in terms of flash flooding, in terms of river levels shooting up very, very quickly. So people along the east coast do need to pay attention to their local weather, and in particular any warnings or advice from emergency services.